In episode 3, you get an update on what's going on in Vault 33. They're not happy with Chet, and they're certainly not happy with Norm. Chet, he's a pushover. He finds the council pretty intimidating. Norm, he doesn't. He doesn't care. He thinks the fact that he and Chet are even up for punishment is a joke. Because the Raiders, the ones that they have in custody, they're being treated great. But yet, he and Chet are being punished for opening the vault door. And the council try to make Norm understand that by opening the vault door, they are putting everybody at risk. The only way the Raiders got into Vault 32 was because somebody must have opened the door. The vaults are impenetrable. But Norm still believes that the vault dwellers should be the ones on trial here, not himself. And when it comes time for an actual punishment, Betty, one of the council members, decides to put Norm on food distribution duty for those prisoners so he can look at them every single day. And there is no remorse with the Raiders. The council also meets about what to actually do with these Raiders, and then later on, when they come to a decision, they hold a vault meeting. What they've decided is to try to integrate them into the Vault Society. After all of the people they lost, they could definitely use the manpower, they could use the people, and they feel like with rehabilitation and training, they could just adapt them to becoming productive members of the society. And there's a lot of support for this, but there's also a little bit of backlash. One of the people being Hank, who has no filter and says, yeah, I think we should treat them like they treated us and kill them. But the other person who agrees with him is Stephanie, Lucy's best friend, who lost her husband in the Raider fight. She believes that the Raiders should pay, and they shouldn't be welcomed with open arms. But the insurrection also came at a big cost. The water filter is broken. They only have enough water to keep the population alive for 2 months. Oh, and they also have a lack of actual leadership. The council, which is made up of Betty, Woody, and Reg, they can't come up with a new clear overseer. It's really a power struggle between Woody and Reg. So that's what's going on in Vault 33. On the outside, Maximus needs to fix what the Ghoul destroyed in his Brotherhood of Steel armor. He goes to a repair shop in Philly to get it fixed, but when he returns, he sees that there are a bunch of miscreants trying to take apart his suit for scrap metal, and he fights them off, or at least he tries to. He's getting his ass kicked. I mean, these people would have killed him if not for the actual suit. It connects to Maximus, and it kills all of them. The suit saves his life, but he has an issue. Before he went to go get the suit repaired, he got a call from HQ wanting to know why he missed his check-in. Of course, they're looking for Knight Titus. They have no idea that Knight Titus is dead, and now it's Maximus running the ship. So Maximus just pretends to be Knight Titus, and he makes up a lie saying that they were attacked, and his squire, a.k.a. Maximus, died in the battle. HQ tells him that they're going to send him another squire, but Maximus doesn't want that. He doesn't want to get caught. Unfortunately for Maximus, it's too late. They drop a squire off at his last known location, which is Philly, and it forces Maximus to have to run back to the suit, get suited up so he isn't caught, and then greet this squire, who turns out to be a guy that used to bully Maximus back at the barracks. Now it's time for Maximus to make this dude pay. But it does turn out they make a pretty good team. Because the squire, whose name is Thaddeus, comes up with a pretty good idea to track the body. He uses radiation from the Ghoul. They track the Ghoul all the way to Dr. Zilwig's body. The Ghoul was there a little while earlier. And they see that Dr. Zilwig's head is missing. So the body must not be important. The only thing that's important is the head. And they continue on, looking for the Ghoul, which would lead them to the body, which would lead them to the head. They just need to get there first. And of course, the Ghoul is tracking Lucy. Using the dog as a tracker, it's not hard for the Ghoul to be right on her tail. Lucy, though, does something really smart. She puts a tracking device in the head. She decided that she didn't want to risk just losing it, or something in the wild taking it, or someone creeping up on her and holding it hostage for whatever reason. It's really small, and she puts it up the nose of Dr. Zilwig. And only she and her Pip-Boy know about it. But this allows Lucy to track it wherever it goes, just in case something were to happen to it. And yeah, that's a really good move that's going to pay off in a big, big way for Lucy. And Lucy has made it all the way to a river that's full of radiation and full of monsters that she's never seen before. In fact, she's attacked by one. It looks like a giant catfish that not only attacks her, but steals the head from her. And before she can really react, she turns around to see that the ghoul is pointing a gun at her head. She tries to plead her case to the ghoul, saying that she needs the head. She needs the head to barter with Lee in order to get her father back, but the ghoul does not care. Instead, the ghoul straps her up and uses her as bait to attract the big giant radiated catfish so that hopefully he can get the head. And it does work. The catfish does end up picking up on Lucy's scent and attacking, but also getting away in the process. And boy, does this piss the ghoul off. He feels like that was his one chance to get the head, and he missed it. He's not going to be able to attract this catfish again. So the ghoul decides to take her prisoner. And as they're walking away from the river, Lucy asks, "Where are we going?" But he doesn't answer. And he's leaving the dog behind, which Lucy points out, only to hear the ghoul say, "Yeah, well, he ain't mine." The ghoul's got other plans. And as they trek back through the wasteland, the ghoul comes across a billboard promoting Vault-Tec, and he decides to shoot the little Vault-Tec mascot. Because as it turns out, the ghoul, or Coop, as he was known back in the 1960s, he was actually the first mascot for Vault-Tec, and he holds a little bit of a grudge. But they should have stayed. Because just after the ghoul and Lucy took off, Maximus and Thaddeus arrive. They're tracking the head, unaware of the giant catfish, and as they enter the water, the catfish attacks them. Maximus, in this giant, cumbersome suit, doesn't have a lot of options. He's slow and bulky. So Thaddeus shoots the catfish, but the catfish turns its attention to Thaddeus and attacks him. Now it's on Maximus to save Thaddeus' life because just moments ago Thaddeus saved his. And he's able to. While the catfish is trying to swallow Thaddeus, Maximus continues to pull back, and ultimately it kills the catfish, but it also empties out its stomach right before it dies, and one of the items is the head. Both Thaddeus and Maximus see the head, and they're pretty surprised. They weren't really expecting that, but they're second and third to see the head. And the dog runs right up to it and starts licking it. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry. It'll be up in a day or two.